Hello everybody and welcome to the QVR Invitational event day one. We're starting today with two races of around Austria and the Netherlands, and looking at the grid right now, I am very looking forward to the racing we're going to have in store today. I think it's going to be a fiercely competitive grid, so should expect lots of overtaking and lots of action, hopefully for all of us watching as well. I am exciting, and unfortunately it's just me going through today, but I'll try and make it my best as we head straight into Austria for our first race of the day. As we see, it's a one-shot qualifying and a 25% race, so it means drivers are going to have to be on there at their best to get up the grid as far as possible in this one shot without making a mistake or any invalidations either. So it's going to really separate the elite from the best, I think, this one-shot qualifying, which is what we want to see, really, isn't it? So, as we just wait for everyone to ready up, and then we'll see who we're going to take on board for the whole lap. So we've got 4 or 5 teams, I think, in here today, and they're all wanting to get the best points possible, and all the drivers wanting to make sure their team is proud of them, which I think they will be, no matter what the result is. That is usually how it goes around here. It is a very sunny, clear day in Austria, unusual, to be honest. It's usually raining, but here we go. So who we'll be on board with for this lap? We are on with IFRAPs as we go into the first corner now. Braking just to get around the corner, not hitting the bumps, being safe, but making sure he's fast as well. So as he climbs up this hill, which is always fun to drive on our lap, taking the inside curve, braking around the 100-metre board into this apex, which is hard to keep the throttle, get the throttle on as early as possible. Now back down the hill into the start of sector 2, where we just brakes nice and early, gets the car rotated very nicely indeed, the IFR driver, as he comes through now into the most complicated section of the track, taking it in 4th there. Some people may use 5th or 6th, but gets it through very nicely and keeps it valid as well. As now we're heading into sector 3, one of the fastest flowing part of the track, and also easiest place to validate and go wide. It does it very nicely here. Bit wide on the last corner, which is seen drop quite a lot of places actually, and he's going to qualify 13th with QVR Campbell setting in a very impressive 103.1 to take pole by a clear 10th as well to Ariel Kush in P2. So I'll take you through in a minute how the grid will lined up for today's race. It should be a good one. So QVR Campbell, representing QVR obviously in this event, on pole. Ariel Kush in 2nd, Simply Superman 69 in P3, IFR Rowan in 4th, IFR Noah in 5th, Go Getter 11 in 6th, Matt Tibos in 7th, QVR Verstappen in 8th, Ariel Coxey in 9th, Spaghetti Chips in 10th, Car Mentalist, the first of the 3 choice runners in P11, Funky Chicken in P12, Peas in 13th, Wouter 14th, Noisy 15th, and then Nico, Ginger, Joel, Chapelele and Jamie all not setting a time in the session, and will be starting from 15th to 20th on the grid. So I think qualifying showed how much of a fast-paced track this is and how competitive it's going to be, hard it is for the drivers to get out of DRS at all. So hopefully not too many trains, so there's no overtaking at all, but I will hopefully see a lot of action. It's going to be a simple one-stop strategy, barring any safety cars or incidents. Soft to medium or medium to soft, wherever you are, and how they prefer to do the strategy. But I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of teamwork as well, which I'm sure is allowed. So yeah, we've got 5 seconds until it starts, and we can get underway again. It's going to be chaotic, I think. Everyone's going to be fighting for position this first lap, obviously using their team's cars. team cars for this event, not the usual grid, but I think they look better, much better than the actual grid cars anyway. So yeah, let's find out what everyone is using. So yeah, no surprises. P1 to P10 on soft tyres, P11 to P20 all on mediums. So Car Mentalist will want to be trying to keep that position as the lead medium runner for as long as he can, if not get a few of the soft guys as well, which will obviously help him out a lot more further into this race, as FRL Ginger has been disqualified along with IFR Gel from the formation lap, so they're going to be not so fun mediums to start the race on, that's for sure. Ice cold going into turn 1, so that may cause a little disruption for the people around him. But yeah, so it's a nice sunny day in Austria, so we're going to get clear race and just 18 laps of pure action, which is what I think everyone wants to happen really. Not 50 or 100% races where it's more, shall I make the move if or when. It's just go for the move and try and get the place as quickly as possible and move on. Obviously not for QVR Campbell, he'll be trying to keep his position at the front and get QVR the most points possible. Heading into Zandvoort, which will be coming up right after this as well, as they all line up now for the grid. It's going to be a long wait for the people at the front, that's for sure. Their tyres are not going to be great going into this first corner, but these drivers know how to deal with this. They've done Austria before. Should be able to deal with the track and the tyres just fine. As now we wait for those 5 red lights to appear, and now here they are, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and away we go for round 1 of the Invitational event. QVR Campbell gets a good start and already makes the first corner with ease, no one even challenging him. As there's quite a few runners actually going wide, but I think everyone has made it through just fine by the looks of it, which is very, very good. And so as heading into the first major breaking point, there's a bit of contact with Ariel Kush and Rowan, and Ariel Kush has spun round and he's binned it straight away there. Not what you wanted to see. It's created a massive gap now for QVR Campbell, over that 1 second gap being majorly important for the rest of this race possibly, as now we've got everyone going too wide but behind him now. Places where you don't really want to make the moves the first lap. You don't want to be making moves into the first sector ideally, as we do have a yellow flag in sector 2. Who is that? Oh, as we're going 3 or 4 wide, I think, as Matt Tibos is entering the pits, so he seems to pick up damage. At the start, as we got a few people behind him who have also picked up damage, and Chapelale's not had the greatest start either, as he's stayed in last, but Funky Chicken and Car Mentalist looking to keep up with the pack, as we get the occasional timing glitch, which you gotta think Cody's, you'd have thought they'd have fixed it by now, but they haven't. So yeah, so now that everyone's settling to the race, as Ariel Coxey has already picked up himself a 3-second time penalty, which in a 25% race could be massively costly around the race like Austria. If you just look all the positions he's going to lose with that penalty if no one else gets them. Who was that? Go Getter 11 has just completely lost the rear of the car there. Don't know what exactly has happened, but Funky Chicken and Car Mentalist now, and everyone behind them gaining a place. They're the 2 lean medium runners who will have to be kept an eye on quite closely, as they're seeming to keep up with the front 7 quite well. As now the DRS gets enabled, so this train only going to get worse now. As IFRP's in on the medium, sets the fastest lap of the race, so certainly showing he has the pace on quite early on those medium tyres, which is a positive for him, so he should be looking to get through the field as quickly as possible. Now, as no one's really making moves these first lap, because everyone's just stuck to the back of everyone's DRS train. If So it's just a following a procedure now, mainly until the pit stops, until people make mistakes, which is why the new regulations are coming in for the next year. So hopefully it makes racing a bit easier and a bit more entertaining for all of us. As now we wait and see who will make moves, mainly looking at Simply Superman, obviously, with IFL Rowan not having the RS to Campbell in front. He should be one of the drivers looking to make a move onto the second place of that podium right now. He is running quite low on the ERS though, which is not what you need to make an overtake. You need a lot more ERS to make a move here, especially to defend the move after he's done it. As there's a yellow flag, not too sure to why. As we look through the grid again to try and find someone making a move, but it does not seem to be the case, as Chapelele has came into the pit now on those mediums. Hopefully he's going to be able to pit and get those softs to the end for his sake, so he can get back into this race possibly. As now QVR Verstappen looks to be all over the back of IFR Noah here. Obviously Verstappen saying the fastest lap of the race just gone. So he's clearly trying to make moves up the grid and try and catch his, QVR teammate in QVR Campbell. Make it a 1-2 for QVR today. Will he be able to do anything now? He's got 8% ERS compared to Noah's 50. Oh wow, who's that? IFR Rowan has spun out from P2 on the grid. That's another driver when in P2 now that has spun. It's just opening this gap up for Campbell quite easily. He's had the easiest race at the minute. He led out the first corner. He's been in control pretty much ever since. He's got ERS to play with as well. Now Simply Superman's going to be under massive pressure from Noah and Verstappen behind, who have more ERS and DRS going on to this lap now. I think some of these drivers are going to also be having to look at the undercut as well, because being stuck in this train, it's not going to be helpful for them, as Verstappen is doing just so, I think, and going into the pits. Yes, he is. So that allows Relentless, his highest ranking driver at the minute, Coxey into P4, Funky Chicken and Commenters now P5 and P6 on those medium tyres. They'll be very happy with how this race has gone so far. Got a 3-second gap to the next runners behind as well. What can IFR Noah do now against Simply Superman? I've honestly no idea who he's racing for today, if I'm honest, because he doesn't have his name in, and I've not raced him before, but he's putting up one stellar performance either way. Now as this race continues to go on, what can people do? As I think Rowan's just been overtaken by Pease there. Wouter seems to be all over the back of Ginger, or actually no, he just lost the position to FRL Ginger, so he's made a good start to this race. He's obviously started in the bottom 5 of the grid, and he's now making moves all the way up into P9. With it's going to be even higher now that people are pitting, as Ariel Coxey has gone into the pits, giving QVR Verstappen a 2-lap undercut on Simply Superman and Noah. So Noah has to make this move now if he wants any chance of keeping a podium spot, I think, as those mediums are going to be a lot faster than those softs of the day, and he does so quite well. He does squeeze him slightly, but more than fair racing, as he had to get the move done on Superman. And now Funky Chicken and Commentalist, people who I both race with quite often, are now going to... Oh, as Funky Chicken made a mistake and it's allowed Commentalist to come right through there and up into P4. Very opportunistic move, as this Chapelele off in the gravel there. He's not had a very good race here today. He's just not been able to keep the car on the track by the looks of it. As now QVR Campbell comes in, Noah follows him, Superman does as well, which releases Car Mentalist into the lead of this race for the first time. What can they do now? They've got a massive gap to the cars behind. They need to push like mad to keep up, try and keep up with the top three, who are now going to be undercutting them on mediums. Let's find where will Verstappen come out in comparison to Noah and Simply Superman. I think he's going to jump them both. He has done as well, by a long distance. QVR Verstappen there with a brilliant undercut even, my bad. And it's now released QVR into a 1-2 for this race. Perfect start for the team in Austria. Yeah, as IFR Noisy actually started on these mediums, so he's not in this fight for now, but he's going to be loving the fact he's getting DRS off Campbell. Help him drag him back up into the runners of the top 6, who have all not pit obviously now, apart from Go Getter, who's the only runner now on soft tyres who hasn't pit for FRL. And he continues to stay out. Obviously those mediums don't seem that bad, as 2 of the medium runners actually have came into the pit, which is very early on, Joel and Walter. So it'll be interesting to see where they come out in comparisons to the likes of Ariel Coxey and Simply Superman, who has actually jumped. Ariel Coxey's done a very good job there for Relentless and managed to jump Simply Superman. I don't know for how long though, as he's got DRS now. He's all over the back of the Relentless driver, down the inside into turn 3. More than fair racing by the both of them, which is what we love to see. No one getting squeezed off here, but I think Simply Superman's going to get the move done quite simply due to the Relentless driver not having DRS. So Superman back into P10, which is a net P3 if I'm right, P4 if I'm right in saying. And as I say that, the 2 medium runners are now into the pit, and I'm guessing all the other medium runners will be as well. Yes, which as Go Getter for FRL is continuing to stay out on those soft tyres longer than all the medium runners as well, and is now in the net lead of the race, which is good to see. As Verstappen now wants to chase down his teammate, who's Verstappen on 2 lap older mediums, so there will be slightly more one at the end of the race, but either way, they've got to think about this race as a whole. They've dropped IFR Noah and Noisy completely, so they're safe from behind. If I was them, I would just think about getting the points, getting the 1-2 in the bag and moving on to Zandvoort to get the 1-2 there as well. Obviously they may have to get past Go Getter, which obviously who's still on those soft tyres. Who is that? There was a person round there, I'm sure of it. As Superman picks up a penalty. Now that makes it a lot more interesting for the likes of Car Mentalist, Jamie, Ginger, Funky Chicken, who are all now on those soft tyres and are going to have the advantage over the drivers in front of them. As Go Getter finally enters the pit on 10 laps, after 10 laps to go on those medium tyres, which I don't understand that strategy personally for myself, but if that's what he's happy doing, go for it. So Car Mentalist right now is looking at a net P4, so from P11 he's had one of the best drives so far, keeping it on track on those mediums at the start, keeping up with these stuff runners. Now he's going to get the reward for it, as Simply Superman does make it past IFR Noah, and he's into P3 for the race. Obviously knowing now that he's got a penalty, may just let him through and just keep having the DRS now will help him keep ahead of the cars behind. As who is that round? It is Funky Chicken. Oh no, Funky Chicken, who had such a good start to this race, has dropped it at the end of sector 2 and is now all the way down in P14. As Matt Tibos as well has also spun, so it's not been the best day for these drivers, who are all fighting at the back now. You just can't afford to make mistakes at all in these 25% lap races, because there's just not enough time especially these short tracks like such as Austria and Zandvoort. This is not enough time at all to catch back up to the field, which is being proven here, as apart from the front three, maybe front four, most of the drivers behind have had completely major position changes throughout the race, and Car Mentalist looks to be the one on the move at the minute on those soft tyres, as more and more people now, Jamie and Joel and FRL Ginger, are all picking up penalties now. So as long as others now can keep it clean, they're going to have a good chance to stay in the train and get many positions. So Ariel Walter, he could gain 3 or 4 positions here quite easily just by keeping it clean. Being on those soft tyres as well, he's going to have much better grip than these guys in front of him, who are on older softs and mediums. As FRL Ginger does make the move on IFR Joel, it does squeeze him out quite a bit there, which has allowed Walter to come through and try and get the both of them possibly going into this corner, going into the braking zone. Can he get the move done around the outside? Brilliantly done there from the relentless driver, and up into P8, who will now have his sights set on Jamie just in front of him in P7, and his relentless teammates of Car Mentalist and Ariel Coxey. Car Mentalist now all over the back of Noah. He just can't seem to get the move done due to Noah being in the DRS as simply Superman. It must be a frustrating thing to have happen. He almost needs Noah to go for the move himself, which he may do going into this lap actually, as he's within 3/10. He could easily get the move done if he wanted to, and then comment his car, try and capital. As there's a yellow flag in sector 1. We'll find out that is. And Noah is going for it. Down this second dose of DRS should be quite simple now. Should have the straight line speed advantage. Car Mentalist now going to make a 3 wide down into this corner. Doesn't usually work. Noah gets ahead of them both. Can Car Mentalist keep it round the outside of Simply Superman? It's going to be a difficult ask, but on those soft tyres with the superior grip, great move from the relentless driver up into P4, and it can now try and push on and get P3 with those soft tyres against the IFR Noah, who will now have no DRS helping him this time round. Ariel Coxey now looking to make a similar move like his teammate did on the last lap. Relentless having a very strong, not the strongest of qualifyings, but having a very strong race here now. P4, P6, P7. And Ariel Coxey did have a really good qualifying. Spun on lap 2 obviously, which we all remember happening. So unfortunately for him, he won't be scoring many points today for him in this round anyway. As Commentalist now should get the move done quite simply on IFL Noah, but he has to build that gap as fast as possible with only being on 15% DRS, whereas Noah is on 50. So I think Noah's played this quite well actually, so he can just stay behind in his DRS now and get the move done when he wants to, because Comments, I just don't think he'll be able to defend with the lack of DRS which he does have, as there is quite a little train forming behind Jamie now. FRL Ginger, Nico, all in this sort of battle for the top 10. QVR Nico going for the move down the first DRS straight, which you don't usually see. Obviously must have had a superior exit compared to Ginger, and he's got the move done on the first straight. Now will FRL Ginger try and get the move done back on him? I think he's going to stick behind him for now. Obviously running a slightly different livery to his other QVR teammates. I think that's just down to whether he forgot to buy it or buy the skin, or hasn't got it in the battle pass, whatever it is yet. But we'll gloss over that as he gets his move into P9 now. And obviously he'll get Jamie on penalties as well. Maybe even Coxey and Simply Superman as well. In this, yeah, he probably will now, as Simply Superman picks up another penalty. Let's quickly. So Superman has 6 seconds worth. Jamie also has 6 seconds, Ginger 9, Rowe 9, so they're going to lose out mass. As FRL Jamie has binned it there at the worst possible time, so he's now got to do a whole lap without a wing, 2 laps before the end. He is going to be livid with himself for that mistake. It's cost him a good points, paying position there on 13 lap old softs now. As IFR Noah has now got back past Car Mentalist, which I thought he would, to be honest. Car Mentalist has got a lot of ERS stored up though. He has been saving these last few laps. As Coxey, I think he's made a mistake here, as he's lost position to Wouter, and he's lost it almost DRS as well, and he's got Ginger and Nico behind him, who go side by side. Ginger very aggressively squeezes Nico out there. I don't think Nico's going to be happy with that move after the race, but going on to the last lap now. A shout out to the 2 QVR drivers, 1-2 in this first race. They've been absolutely a class above the field, it seems. They've kept out of the way and completely and utterly walked away from the rest of the field, which is very hard to do around Austria. I think everyone who drives these F1 games knows that. So now Noah, with the task of keeping behind Car Mentalist now, with DRS, giving it all he's got going into this to get a podium for Relentless. What can IFR Noah do? He defends very nicely indeed. Car Mentalist goes for the switchback now. Can he get it done? He's going to be going around the outside, going into this corner. He just doesn't seem to have enough. And Noah defends that perfectly going into the last lap and should be able to keep his P3 now. As we'll go on board with QVR Campbell, who's led every lap of the race, pretty much. Drove flawlessly, no penalties either. To pick up a 1-2 for QVR in the first race of the invitation. What a drive from them too. Noah, brilliant drive to pick up P3. Car Mentalist in P4, Wouter in P5. Nico, all with those no penalties, into P6, Coxey P7, Superman P8, IFR P's in P9, Noisy 10th, with his TTG teammate Funky Chicken in 11th, who could have had such a better race if it weren't for that spin. Unfortunate for him. FRL Ginger as well was in the wars a bit, and penalty wise and battle wise I think he would have hoping for a much cleaner race in P12. Go Getter in P13. Spaghetti Chips, final QVR teammate in P14. Decent race from these guys who I think had mistakes early on and just were out of the pack and couldn't do much about it. IFR Rowan, P15. Matt Tibos in P16 obviously had that spin as well. So yeah, what an entertaining race so far. It has been. I'm hoping the same can be said for Zandvoort in a minute, but we all know what Zandvoort was like on previous F1 games. It's not the best for overtaking. Good for close action racing, but obviously it depends on who spins and penalties and whatnot. So QVR in their own event, doing their fans massively proudly there with a 1-2 with Campbell and Verstappen. Noah P3, Car Mentalist P4, Wouter P5. Good drive from the 2 Relentless drivers from P11, P14. I'm sure they'll be happy with. QVR Nico in P6, Ariel Cox in P7, Simply Superman in P8, IFR P's in P9, Noisy P10, Funky Chicken P11, FRL Ginger P12, Go Getter in P13, Spaghetti Chips in 14th, IFR Rome P15, Matt Tibos P16, Ariel Kush, who could have had such a better race if it weren't for that first lap spin, in P17, unfortunate for him. FRL Jamie as well, with a lot of penalties in P18 and that damage which he picked up on the second last lap. IFR Joel and Shapalele, the 2 drivers, not to finish, which I just don't think the track suited them very well. They'll be hoping for much better racing than Zandvoort. As I think we're going to have a bit of a break. I don't know if there's any driver changes or anything. Or we're just going straight into the next race. Hopefully so. So, I don't have loads of small talk to do. Obviously, Zandvoort, for the first time, back on the calendar. in real life, and they're back there this weekend. Going to be an interesting one for sure, strategy wise. Obviously none of the drivers knowing what to do. I think we're going straight into it by the sounds of it, which is great news. More action. Obviously Zandvoort, personally for me, one of the better tracks of mine. I do like this track quite a lot. I think a lot of users who use the pad and ABS will say the same as that as well. Wheel users not notoriously as quick on these tracks, but obviously there's not that much difference these days between wheel and pad unless it's such as Monaco. So it should be a close race either way, especially with the lap times being in low 1 minute 9s from what I remember. It should be around 1 minute 9, I think. So yeah, QVR obviously with very good first performance, they'll be hoping to repeat that. Likes of Chapelele and Ariel Kush, I don't know how to say that perfectly. We'll be hoping for a much better race, I think, from them. And now with this screen's quite useless really. We all know that they're going to pick soft tyres most for the race. It's not exactly a given, but we're going to have to go through it for anything. So quick 30 seconds later, and then we'll see who will be taking us through a lap of Zandvoort in one shot. Hopefully they don't spin. No commentator curse here. Doesn't seem to be anyway. So yeah, we've got another 30-second wait now for everyone to pick their tyres and set up and so on. Hopefully everyone does pick their setup. Hopefully everyone does pick the right tyre and setup. I mean, it'd be a disaster if they went for the default set. It wouldn't as much a disaster as old games, but still a disaster if you're fighting for the most points possible in these sort of events. You're going to have the right setup, as we will be on board with IFR Noah for this lap. So going into start of the lap, into turn 1, brake in between 150, around the 50 metre board. You can take multiple lines through here. Noah choosing to get a better exit, which can be quite beneficial, dropping into 5th gear, for then going into 3rd to get a tight line through there. Not like the Formula 1 drivers we've seen in real practice today. Now flat out through these corners, they're just a bit unnecessary really, dropping it down to 6th into this right-hander, which is quite tricky on this new game. IFI know are doing quite a good job here, keeping it close to the apex every corner, getting early on the traction, keeping it clean as well. He's putting now onto the first DRS straight now. Into this heavy braking shown for the chicane, which I think is quite different in real life. I think Cody's have done a bit of a mare layout of the track either way. Very nice here from IFR Noah, gets it through the corner very nicely indeed. Keeps it valid and shortest run to the line. He's going to get P8 I think. P5 actually, very good lap from IFR Noah. 1 minute 9.5 like I said. So yeah, Ariel Kush, back off that performance of Austria, gets pole position round here, which I think it will look very important around this type of track, as I think we'll find out very shortly. It's very tough for overtaking. QVR Verstappen and Ariel Welter at their home tracks in P2 and P3. QVR Campbell, P4. IFR Noah, obviously, who was on board with P5. Simply Superman, P6. Noisy, P7. FRL Jamie, P8. Ariel Coxley, P9. IFR Joel, P10. P's in P11. Matt Tibos in P12. Carmentalist in P13. So these guys obviously will have the free choice of tyres again. Go Getter in P14. QVR Nico in P15. Spaghetti Chips in P16. Rowan P17, Chapelale P18, Ginger 19th, and Funky Chicken rounds out the grid in P20. Obviously, looking at their lap times, I think they made a few mistakes on their lap, so we'll be hoping for a much better race from their end anyway. As we go into the final race of the day. Let's hope it's as good as Austria. As we wait for everyone to make their tyre choices, I'm going to presume it's going to be very similar to what it was like in Austria. Top 10 on softs and P11 to P20 on mediums. I'm hoping no one goes hards. I don't think in 25% races they're necessary. We will see. As we get a lovely view of, I don't know whose front wing that is, maybe, but hopefully they won't be needed. And as we have got that purple Relentless car on pole for the second race of the day, as we'll quickly find out everyone has gone soft and medium, apart from Chapelale, actually, very interestingly, in P18 on those soft tyres, so he'll be hoping to get as many moves as possible done in these first few laps. And IFRPs as well in P11 actually wants to stick with the front group on those soft tyres. So Matt Tibos will be our leading medium runner, followed by Carl Mentalist again. Seems to be a bit of a trend with him being the leading alternate track driver, so hopefully he'll be wanting the same result as Austria as well. We've got a whole bunch of drivers who will just be wanting to get as close to this guy, Ariel Kush. Don't batter me for how to say his name, I'm not sure at all. But he will be leading in front of the Orange Army. Max fans, which we can clearly see in the crowd, and Verstappen, I think, is going to be their obvious favourite for the race, I think. Mainly because his name is Verstappen, so yeah, as we round out the grid, no one's actually got disqualified this time, crashing each other on formation lap, which is always good to see. As we wait now for everyone to round off the grid, which it always takes forever, because that's what formation laps are like. So yeah. We are now lining up for round 2 of day 1, Zandvoort, which is also where F1 is heading this weekend, so let's hopefully do a better job than the real life drivers. No pressure. As we now wait for the 5 red lights to eventually appear. Here they are, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and away we go. Ariel Kush has got a good start here. He's done it perfectly. He's got a brilliant start. He's defended the line. He's kept P1. Wouter now has got past Verstappen into P2. Big move from him, which has got the Relentless 1-2, which is they're so desperately wanted. IFR Noah looking around the outside of Campbell, sorry. As Car Mentalist has got into P11. So again, leading Ultra driver. As IFR Joel hasn't had the best start. Who has spun here? There seems to be a bit of a... I don't know who exactly spun. I'll find it. As IFR Rowan, I think he was one of the drivers that spun. As there is another one in the... I have no idea what's going on. There's just cars everywhere. I'll find it's Chapelale, Peas, and Ginger, the 3 drivers at the back. So I'm guessing them 3 have all been involved in incidents. As now, everyone seems to settle down. QVR Campbell, not actually as close as I thought he was. As who is it going for a move? FRL Jamie looked to be going for a move on Simply Superman, but couldn't seem to make the most of it. As now I'm guessing we'll have our usual. As Ariel Kush, again, how many times has he been in good positions, but he's down to P8 now. He's got... What, is he? I don't know. No, he hasn't. This game's going to be the end of me. As they Relentless do keep their 1-2. Apparently, Ariel Kush has got a 47-second lead, which I mean looks like it as we go through Sector 2. As Spaghetti Chips has left the session, I think that is a disconnect as well. So that's unfortunate for him, as Chapelele has spun around again. He's not had a good race tonight at all. He needs to concentrate on not spinning nothing first, and then focus on getting his speed back. Because as I think we all know, he has got very good pace in that car. When he turns up in qualifying. As now Verstappen will be wanting to try and get as close to these front two Relentless users as possible with QVR Campbell. So it's sort of a bit like real life, where the two teammates are next to each other on track, whereas this time I don't think they're actually teammates. I don't know if coders have fixed that bug where you just can't choose teammates when multiplayer cars, but we'll see. As IFR Noah in P5 doing a solid job, hasn't lost gain positions, just settling down into this race now, which a lot of people are. As Go Getter is all over the back of QVR Nico here, as there is a spinner at the back. I'm not too sure who. As I've noticed, Carmentalist has dropped a few positions. He was in P10. It's now Matt Tibos, the leading medium runner, who's got that all important 1 second gap to QVR Nico. So Go Getter now will realise that, I think, going down this straight, and he's going to have to get the move done as fast as possible, which he does seem to be doing. He just can't seem to get, as he has got the move done actually, in fact. And Car Mentalist also looking for a move past the QVR driver as well. So Go Getter now is going to be after Matt Tibos, who's got to make sure all he has to do for now is stay on the back of the soft train, really. As there's a yellow in sector 3. Quickly try and find, I think that may have been FRL Ginger. Who knows? As the front four seem to be kind of running away with it now slightly. I don't know the gaps. But yeah, IFR Noah has now lost DRS to this front four train. Jamie and so forth will have all realised this, and now will be majorly pushing to try and, as Chapelele has retired from the session. I think that's in the bits. We'll find out in a minute as we cross the pit straight. I think it was in the pits, yes. Not been the best day for the FRL driver. You'll just be wanting to put this behind him and move on. As Wouter now has made the move on his teammate and going to leave. I think a bit of tactics being played here, as Wouter does look the faster driver certainly for now. As it is FRL Ginger again. FRL are having not the best race at all. Jamie and Go Getter are really carrying the team as it stands at Zandvoort. So yeah, this front four train have got that 1 second gap to Noah. There seems to be a few gaps spreading out, a lot more than Austria. It seems a lot more people have got less pace around here, as FRL Ginger has retired from the session, which is quite not surprising really, I think. As Car Mentalist has also dropped down to P16. I think he might have had a spin or two as well, unfortunately for him. Matt Tibos now has got to be looking for a move on Ariel Coxey. I think he's got no ERS, he's not got DRS either. He's got to be making his moves, as Noah has got a 5 second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not what you want. He's in a very comfortable position there, the IFR driver. He didn't need to speed into the pit lanes, yet he has. As FRL Jamie has put on the hard tyres. Now that is a decision I can't get my head over, to be honest. Not head over, head round. He's gone on the hards when you don't at all need to go on the hards today, especially in a 25% race. Go Getter now all over the back of Matt Tibos. I think these soft tyres have well and truly died off. He needs to get Especially if Ariel Coxey stayed out another lap, he needs to get the move done as soon as he can. Matt Tibos. I mean, now would be a brilliant time to get it, but I think he's not going to go for the move here. Doesn't have the long enough straight to do so. As now, will the front drivers pit? No, they don't. Well, Ariel Kush does. Verstappen has already pitted, so Campbell and Walter all stay out. Campbell doing the fastest lap of the race, so those soft tyres clearly haven't had enough for him. As Matt Tibos does take the net lead, as FRL Jamie has retired. Is that an on-track retiree? Yes, it is. He has binned it, and then his AI car has continued to drive. So FRL have had an absolute awful race, awful race. One to forget for sure for them. As 3 of their 4 drivers are now out of it. It's just Go Getter holding the flag out for them. Who's doing a good job very good job for himself, to be fair. He's all over the back of Matt Tibos. I think any minute now he's going to get that move done. As Noisy has spun it as well, so it's like I said, these drivers need to learn. Just need to learn not to spin it. It seems to be a major thing on this F1 game. That everyone knows, everyone, and I mean everyone has spun it at least 1 or 2 times this game, I think. As Walter stays out for another lap on those soft tyres, Campbell finally comes into the pits. Matt Tibos now defended from Go Getter. I don't think he can do much about it. And Go Getter does take P2, the net P2, not net P2, actual P2 for now on those medium tyres, but a 7-second gap to the cars behind. I think Simply Superman has spun as well, as he's also 21 seconds back. Walter Verstappen has came out ahead of Campbell. Kush has been jumped by all of them, which is maybe the reason why Walter's staying out, because clearly he's still got pace in those soft tyres, and now he's going to find it so difficult to join back into this group. As look how close they're separated, these front 3. Noah is nearly with him as well. He's 1.1 seconds out, so he knows he can, if he gets in that DRS train, he can cruise along with them almost and get that 5-second penalty, which he does have. Less effective. As now Ariel Kush has got a lot more ERS than the 2 QVR drivers in front of him. However, will he be able to use it at all? Because he's stuck in a DRS train, as Go Getter has pit for softs. Interesting to see where he'll come out in comparison to all the other medium runners now, as he was the leading runner in those mediums before he pit. Has he jumped Ariel Coxey? Yes, he has. Wow. So those mediums obviously not having the undercut effect a lot of drivers would have wanted, and Go Getter has completely jumped Ariel Coxey, and now going to be on the back of Spaghetti Chips and commenters who have also not pissed. So next up for him is IFR Noah in P4 with that 5-second penalty. So can Go Getter go and get that 5-second distance, as there is another driver round. It is IFRP's again. I don't know again, but as Walter finally comes into pit from the lead, Matt Tibos in P2 I think is also going to do the same thing. Nico, same thing as well. Funky Chicken, yeah. Verstappen now I'm sure will take the net lead again, or will he? As Walter comes out from the pits, has he been able to keep overcut all of these drivers? Yes, he has. Wow. So clearly, this undercut that everyone has gone for this race, now Walter has 3 lap newer medium tyres than everyone else and has kept the lead. A big few laps there, a few hammer time laps, as I'm sure all the Max Verstappen fans would love that. A few hammer time laps for sure from Walter there to keep himself ahead of the 2 QVR drivers. Ariel Kush now in the 1/4 Reynolds, which is still very good points. Noah now on the back of them as well completely, so it's a 5-way fight for this win today. Let's hope no one gets any penalties and ruins it. Ruins a battle, which we all know can happen from time to time. So yeah, can Walter now get the gap to the 2 QVR drivers? He definitely has the tyres to do so. However, the DRS is so powerful around here. He had a 6/10 gap and it's all completely gone. Let's go getter now. Fastest lap on those soft tyres. The chasing pack. He's got almost a 5-second gap already to IFR Noah, who has that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As I think, as Funky Chicken has been disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen that before, if I'm on it. I think he may have spun in the first corner and he's obviously put him backwards at the pit lane, and the game's thought, oh, he's blocking the pit lane, he can't drive anymore. So I think that's a bit unlucky there for Funky Chicken, as he has been disqualified from the session, and he was on for some good points as well, if I'm remembering that correctly. So yeah, these front 5 now starting to spread out a bit. QVR Campbell, if anyone, seems to be the one looking to make a move out of any of the drivers, which isn't really the case, as they're all 5/10 so behind. Ariel Kush is losing time to them a bit. Now 8/10 the gap, 7/10 the gap, as Matt Tibos does the fastest lap on those soft tyres, and now he's the one chasing Go Getter. So what can the Chelsea fan do? I'm guessing that's a CFC in his name. No ERS compared to Go Getter's 25%, but with DRS being so powerful around here, it shouldn't make a difference, I don't think, as he is right all over the back of the Go Getter. It's more of a move of if instead of when now, by the looks of it. So going on to the first DRS straight, is he going to look for the move here? I think he is going into this chicane section in front of the fan stadium. It's a bit of a stadium like Mexico Grand Prix. He thinks better of the move. Now he's got line it up perfectly to get the move done nice and simply down the straight, which he should be able to do within 3/10. Let's Go Getter does defend completely to the left. Matt Tibos deciding to stay behind him. So not too sure why, as Ariel Kush has now lost DRS to the front 3, which is going to help out Noah in his chase to try and catch and overtake Ariel Kush and keep that 5-second gap to the cars behind, which he's doing pretty well for the time being. Again, Matt Tibos is all over the back of Go Getter, yet he can't get the move done on the straight, which is quite confusing to me, unless Matt Tibos is using a lot higher wings, which could be the case, which is why he'd be so much faster in the middle sector, where you need the downforce to get you through the lap. So now, will he be able to make the move this time round, going on to lap 14? Is this really the only battle going on, apart from the front 4 being in each other's DRS? As Campbell does look a lot closer to Verstappen than Verstappen does to Walter, so that we may see a change in position happening there sometime soon. As Matt Tibos again deciding against the move to get past Go Getter. I'm not too sure why this is happening. As he's got fresh to soft, and he's clearly the quicker driver at the minute out of the 2 drivers, so if he wants that P5 possibly of IFR Noah's, he's got to get a move on, Matt Tibos. And he needs to do it quickly, as he's not helping himself staying behind Go Getter at the minute. As we resume this battle at the front, which has kind of stayed the same. Welch has not been able to get out of DRS, which is not surprising, to be honest. Even though Verstappen is on 7 lap old mediums now, they will start be feeling the wear, that's for sure. It's just such a short track. There's never going to be a time where you don't get out of DRS unless a mistake's made, because as I think we'll see here, Campbell's so much closer to the back of Verstappen than Verstappen is Walter, but he just gains too much with that DRS. Look, it's just impossible for him to make a move. And you can see that as now they've dropped Ariel Kush by 2 seconds. As Matt Tibos finally does get the move done, going into this section, he squeezes him. Go-Getter goes round the outside though. Matt goes for the much higher line, such as like Esteban Ocon, and has been doing so. Now they're going side by side through this section. It's not going to end well, and I think Matt Tibos, rightfully so, backs out of the move there. I think that was going to end in tears for one driver. This may not be done just there, as going into this sector where Matt is being faster, I think, every lap so far. He's all over the back of Go-Getter. He's almost having to slow down to stay behind him through this section. As he does get DRS now. Just too far back with too little of a straight to get any sort of move done. As we look at IFR now, surely he's going to go for the move now on Ariel Kush. He's got the gap to the car behind for the penalty. Going to go round the outside. Can he hold it? He does so very nicely. Still side by side actually. Great driving from the pair of them there. And IFR Noah with a great move there gets back on top. Back into that P4 position. All this battling which Go-Getter and Matt Tibos have done has brought QVR and Nico quite nicely into this battle now. So with a bit more ERS than both of them, could he be looking for a move to get himself into that P6 position? It's definitely on the cards. As Verstappen now seems to be gaining time on Walter, which is quite weird to be honest. I didn't expect that to be happening. He's got such fresher tyres, Walter. He should be able to pull away through that middle sector of the lap quite easily. He just doesn't seem to have enough pace to get out of the DRS window, which is giving Verstappen plenty of opportunities here if he wants to go for a last lap move. He's got the ERS to certainly try for a move. As now Matt Tibos again going down the inside. Should get the move done and get a lot more comfortably this time. Yeah, he's already ahead before this corner here. It's a good move finally from Matt Tibos, and he gets himself into that P6, which is a great recovery from his qualifying, which was I think P11 or P12. So a very good race from the Chelsea fan. I'm just going to go with that now. Puts himself best of the soft runners. Now, as he may want to try and close that gap down, but I don't think it'll be possible to catch IFR Noah with no one else having penalties as well, keeping it all very clean, which is very nice. As Ariel Kush has gone for the move on Noah actually, going onto this straight, which I think Noah's just going to be able to get the move straight back on him. As that gap between him and Matt Tibos is closing now with these two battling. Does IFR Noah think better of it and just keep the position, and which I think he is doing? Yeah, he's going to stay behind Ariel Kush for this last lap and just make sure he doesn't lose any further positions. As Go-Getter now go in for the move on Matt Tibos. Matt Tibos now the one around the outside. Can he hold it? Make some contact. I think they've come away from it just fine, as Nico looking for any sort of move, just a bit too far behind to make a move, and Go-Getter has played that perfectly, to be fair to him. Let Matt Tibos come past the lap too early, and it may have ruined Matt Tibos' tyres, as now QVR Nico is all over the back of him. However, our attentions do turn now, as it's the last lap, to Ariel Walter, who has drove fantastically today to get a win for Relentless. from P4 on the grid. P4 or P3. Anyway, what a brilliant drive it is from the Relentless driver to get their first win in the QVR event. QVR Verstappen coming home in P2 this time. Campbell in P3. Still a good result from both of those QVR drivers. Ariel Kush in P4, wrapping off a very good performance for Relentless. Noah in P5, even with that 5-second penalty, won't lose anything. Go Getter gets P6. Nico somehow on the line gets P7 with Matt Tibos 0.012 behind him in P8. He'll be very frustrated with that, I think. TCG Noisy in P9. IFR Joel in P10. Commentalist in P11. P's in P12. Spaghetti Chips, the other QVR driver, in P13. P14 belongs to Simply Superman. In for TTG, and Ariel Coxey will be the last driver to cross the line for Relentless, which will bring us to the end of this day one event of the QVR Invitational, which has been extremely fun to commentate on, even though it was by myself, which I don't think it'll be for the next 2 weeks. I think there'll definitely be someone else, at least 2 people commentating next 2 weeks, which is what you love to see, really. So much easier for everyone commentating when that happens. So Ariel Wouter rounds off Zandvoort with a brilliant win from himself, doing the Dutch fans proud with QVR, Dutch 1-2 with QVR Verstappen. Campbell representing Scotland in P3, and great drive from all three on the podium to keep it clean, which we saw was quite a challenge for some of the drivers today. So one last time as we round off the grid: Wouter in P1, Verstappen P2, Campbell P3, Cush in P4, IFR Noah P5, Go Getter in P6, Nico in P7, Matibos P8, TTG Noisy in P9, Joel P10, Car Mentalist P11, IFR P's in P12, Spaghetti Chips in P13, Simply Superman P14, Ariel Coxey, the last of the finishers, in P15, Jamie, Ginger, Chapalele, IFR Rowan and Funky Chicken, all drivers that did not finish, and that will be the end of the first day. So to all those watching, thank you for bearing with me on my own. I hope you enjoyed what was on offer, and hopefully we'll see you next week for week 2 of the Invitational event. So goodbye.